So many of the places in the UK are now capitalising on their use as film locations. They've actually written a book, The National Trust, on screen. All the houses, all the National Trust properties and English heritage, if they were used in any of these programmes that you see, you know, the Crown, which is very popular, just loads of shows, but they're capitalising on getting people to come to their houses because it's a whole new demographic for them. It's not people who really want to see a dusty old house. They want to see where their favourite TV or film was shot. But lots of these guys do it. Doctor Who locations, Avengers, they obviously know there is an interest to go and see these places. And I think the local areas really benefit.
Hi, my name's Viv. I'm one of the co-founders of SetJetters, and I'm super excited to be chatting with the two Andys today. They are old friends that have met doing sci-fi conventions in England. They've done a lot of set visiting, set hunting, set jetting, particularly around British TV shows and the movies in Scotland and the English area. But hey guys, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Viv. Very pleased to join you.
Yeah. Hi, Viv. Pleasure as well.
Look, I'd love to dive into some of the set jetting that you guys have done. What is some of your favorite locations that you've visited?
North Yorkshire, for me, quite a lot of them. More smaller scale. It's old sort of 70s and 80s sci-fi shows. The rocky outcrops, the caves, the sort of like the forests up there. It's great. There's a place called Howstein Gorge, which is fantastic. That's in North Yorkshire. And then if you go a bit further afield, you start getting to places like Bamborough and Northumbria and all places like that. Harry Potter was filmed up there. Robin of Sherwood back in the 80s at a smaller scale. But yeah, those castles are just amazing, and how they're utilized by the TV and film companies is just stunning. And it's lovely to be able to go back there and just recognize where they were filmed. But it's hard to pick a favorite, because when you get there, it's just magical knowing that the film crews were there and your favorite actors were there, and you kind of feel, it sounds a bit soppy, but it feels like there's a little bit of atmosphere left behind, you know, in the area. Like Andy's been down to the South Coast recently where they filmed Andor, but 50 years ago they were filming Blake 7 and Doctor Who down there. But it's just, those stones are like absorbing the, you know, it sounds silly, but the atmosphere, and you feel it when you're there. You do.
Totally get that.
Very much. That North Yorkshire area, I think Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves made a lot of those locations, didn't they?
I wrote an article actually for a publication, which I have.
Oh, cool.
On the locations used. So I did a lot of research over the last couple of years, you know, for Blake 7, because that's one of my favorite TV shows. So if your viewers haven't heard of Blake 7, it ran for 4 years, started in 78, finished in 81. It was a BBC show. It was very big over here at the time. It may be a little bit forgotten now, but it's a cracking show. And if anyone checks it out, you know, it's worth doing. But I understand it finished in 1981, so that's quite a long time ago. But
Blake 7 came after the success of Star Wars, didn't it? And picked up on some of those elements: a small group of rebels, laser guns and spaceships, and an evil, not an empire but a federation. And yeah, it's got a lot of the same sort of swagger and the sort of not hard sci-fi. It's you know, it's an action adventure, and yeah, well worth looking up.
But yeah, they wrote this book and they needed to know about locations, so I then and now, so I've been around. Even the quarries were fascinating, because one of the ones they used for this show, it turns out that it's a quarry that's quite happy to let film companies come in. So you've had Mission Impossible, lots of big blockbuster films. They shut the quarry down, and if they need a desert and they're in the UK, that's where they'll go. It's a sand quarry.
Yeah, cool. Well, we are global, and we are starting to get users almost on every continent. I've got to get a scene in on Antarctica. But we are starting to get big users across the UK and across Europe. So that's why we're talking to you. And I'm sure we can find the Blake 7 fans will come out of the woodworks as soon as I get this out there.
They all share these locations. I mean, you know, The Prisoner. So The Prisoner filmed in North Wales, Portmeirion, where The Prisoner was filmed. I doubt if they'd have the footfall if The Prisoner wasn't filmed there. I go there primarily because a TV show was shot there, not because it is a fascinating village. Absolutely amazing when you get there, but I go there because it was used as a location. A lot of my holidays are based around locations in the UK. That's what I do. So, and I speak to a lot of people who do the same. There are so many websites set up for this, and you sort of share information and get all the background information. Then you start speaking to the people that worked on these shows as well, and they give you even more information to find out those sort of like secret places. I think, is that how you found out about Andor, isn't it, Andy? And
yeah, I think that was the Star Wars Facebook community, because that Andor did a little bit of location filming around the UK. They'd been up in a place called Cleveleys, up near Blackpool, which is a coastal location. And by the beach there, they've got a fairly futuristic-looking cafe on the promenade with a sort of round building and some sort of concrete structures that look a bit sci-fi. And they took that over for a little while. And there were guys that had gone up there and sort of seen Diego Luna and there were guys dressed up as death troopers and sand troopers, and then we got word that they were moving on, and they were coming down, and again it must have been somebody locally that had got wind that the production was coming down there, to this little quarry in Dorset. A couple of people had gone and got some photos, and I thought, well, that's only an hour's drive from me, I've got to get down there. How often does Star Wars actually film on your on your doorstep?
Yeah.
So got to the quarry, and there's crates and boxes and all sorts of otherworldly stuff down there, bits of equipment and consoles, and the sort of Star Wars crates that you see in all the movies, stuff with the Orabesh, the Imperial writing on it. I even got to, with permission from the location manager, to take away one of the signs that said "to the set," a little souvenir.
But what will happen is you will go back down there, won't you? I will. Once I've seen Andor, I will go back to the quarry. I will spend some money in the pub. I'll spend some money in the restaurant. I'll use the National Trust car park, and I will go down to that location again after I've seen it, because I will want to spot it again. And I'm sure hundreds, if not thousands, of people will do the same. So
yeah, well, once you know the location, it's just as much fun to then go back and re-watch, and then perhaps to revisit, and your knowledge of the location builds up over time as you watch and as you visit. So yeah, you really do benefit from going back and back again.
It's actually more rewarding going back, isn't it? Once you've seen a show or a movie or a TV film, and you know the shots they've had to achieve, and then you actually think, right, that's in my brain, I'm going to go back to the place where they shot it, and then you sort of find yourself in that environment. I mean, we've done that with Finse in Norway and places like that. You think, how on earth did they do this? Some of the shots they got, I mean, that wind spit for Andor is quite a dangerous place. So if they got the cameras up on the sort of, on the cliff tops and things, that would have been quite dangerous. But you appreciate it even more when you go back afterwards, I think, and sort of have a look around and appreciate where things were shot from, or how they got the vehicles there. I mean, Finse, obviously they had helicopters, but
yeah, it'd be very interesting to see how it all fits in.
You've just touched on two really important things, which is, as you were saying with the National Trust, is that like it's this, I hate to use it because it's a film pun, but it puts another lens on an old place, and it's another way of looking at the city. Even my home city of Sydney in Australia, I know The Matrix was shot there, but like really diving in and finding all the little scenes. I uncovered parts of the city I had never been to, and I've lived there my whole life, and I found the stairwell where they see the cat twice. It's cool. It's this Art Deco stairwell in this old hotel, and it's fun to stand there, and particularly recreating the photographs, and it's engaging. And then, of course, as you said yourself, Andy, you're going to spend some money there, and we did. You spend some money at the pub, and so getting locations to understand the economic value of appreciating.
Absolutely. Doctor Who as a show, I mean, Doctor Who's very, very well known here in the UK and worldwide. It's started in the 60s, but the new series, they started up with BBC Wales. The whole thing was based in Wales, and they used a lot of locations in and around the city of Cardiff. Andy, you know far better than I do, because you took me on a tour, didn't you?
Did.
Going around all sorts of locations, but I'll let you pick up there, Andy.
Well, again, I mean, I love the old locations. I love old Doctor Who myself, so I've almost got like a checklist that I have to tick off. Places I want to see. A lot of the places they film in are really nice historical buildings. I mean, sort of genre fans can come with you because they're so nice places to visit. Usually they shoot in glorious, beautiful locations, so it's a nice day out. And if you're a bit of a geek, then it's a bit of a reward to see these places as well. But yeah, around Cardiff was great. I mean, because they utilized it. They tried to make Cardiff look like London or whichever city they needed. And the city itself is fantastic. It's got its castle at the heart. And they utilize all those places, and a lot of the restaurants and the bars they used as well. So it's great. You can go for a lunch break. It's a win-win. Yep. So even Laycock, there we go. They've capitalized on the location guide because it's been used for just about everything. So Harry Potter, Cranford, Pride and Prejudice, Emma, Downton Abbey, Wolf Hall, all big productions here. Many, many others, but Robin of Sherwood is why I went. But the cloisters, I mean, it's not the best photograph, but it's a fascinating cloisters, old medieval cloisters all around the Abbey itself. But I wanted to find the specific shots for Robin of Sherwood, but you had to be literally within about 6 inches looking through the windows. And then I was looking for the wrong thing until I actually saw the right thing. So it felt like a real reward when I sort of got the right window, right angle, right, not lens so much, but had to get everything, the height they shot it at. And suddenly I thought, yes, that's it. And I could screen match it because I always take screenshots with me because I just feel that's part of the joy. I have a screenshot with me or on my phone or whatever. And if I can match it, I feel I've achieved something.
People come to set jetting, as you pointed out before. You might come because of Downton Abbey, you might come because of Emma, you might come because of Robin of Sherwood. but it just is this beautiful way of grouping people together from different walks of life, different film tastes, and you can end up in the same castle and be going, hey, here we are.
Actually, it happened. It was quite funny. We went to ACOC this weekend, just gone, and I'm looking around. I've got my camera, and I've got some screenshots, and I'm trying to find those Robin of Sherwood shots that I mentioned. There was a group of ladies walking around. They were doing something similar, and they were sort of like saying, was it here? Do you think they shot it from, or here? And so I approached them, and I stupidly assumed, because I'd just been to a Robin of Sherwood event, and I was looking for Robin of Sherwood. So I came up to them and said, oh, great, are you trying to find these Robin of Sherwood locations? And they just said, no, we're here for Harry Potter. This is the warming room. This was the, and I'm like, oh, crap. So we got chatting a little bit, but it's, like you say, you just meet, but for different reasons, but the same location. So that's, and then I started looking for Harry Potter locations then, because I hadn't realized actually that's where they filmed it. So
well, that's what we've discovered by grouping things on the map as well, is that people might search Star Wars and they zoom in on an area and they go, oh, wow. But like, I mean, I just did a trip from Los Angeles up to Seattle, and, suddenly I'm stopping into Bodega Bay for birds locations. I would have just blown right past that town, but I'm looking around going, oh yeah, I'll go check that out. And there's the old church with the birds are still there. And I wouldn't say I'm a birds super fan, but it just creates this fun way to explore. And suddenly there I am buying a coffee in Bodega Bay.
Even doing it the other way around as well. We had a family holiday in the Midlands in England. Took the children to a place called the Black Country Living Museum, which is a living history place. They basically save old buildings. They'll take buildings down brick by brick and rebuild them in the museum. And it's a wonderful, wonderful place to visit. And there was a lot of talk while we were there about a TV series called Peaky Blinders. I don't know whether you've ever heard of that. About, I think it's 1920s, I think that one's set, gangsters in the Midlands. And off the back of visiting the Black Country Living Museum, we started watching that, and it's a fantastic show. But again, you're getting another level of enjoyment out of it. But you're saying that's the bakery. That's where we walked down after we bought our chips.
Incredible. It really is.
And again, seeing how many different shots and supposedly different locations in the story are actually just around the corner from one another. It's wonderful to watch it with that in mind and thinking, yeah, we were there.
Well, Andy's, this has been an absolute pleasure. As I said, I could probably talk with you guys for ages. So thank you so much for your time.
No, thank you very much for having us. It's lovely to talk about it. It's I've often written that the location hunting is one heck of a hobby to have, and it's it benefits all really. Gets you out and about. It benefits the the people who have the properties and pubs, restaurants, etc., hotels where you go, and it's just such a rewarding activity. So long may it continue. And thanks for having us on to talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you very much for setting up the app. It's a great resource. Congratulations to you guys, and may you keep on doing what you're doing for a long time.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes, we've got grand plans, and as I'm sure you know, it's in its early days, but big plans to kind of really start to create an environment for people like yourselves to kind of, get those shot syncs in there, all that information, and connect people and community features. So we'll be working on it for years to come.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thanks, Viv.
Thank you so much. Hi, it's Viv again. If you enjoyed this video interview, I am looking for more people to talk to. So if you know of anyone that's interested in visiting film locations, perhaps you love visiting film locations, shoot me an email at viv@setjetters.com.